Very excited for our guest today.
Me as well.
Did you see I didn't waste any time?
You didn't waste any time.
Right into it.
You're ready to go.
I'm very excited. Our guest today is Brandon Barash.
Correct.
And I'm really, really pumped because Brandon's one of those actors I worked with on days that we only saw each other in passing. Mm-hmm. We had maybe like 2 scenes together where we didn't really talk. And at Days of Our Lives, if you're not working with somebody ever, there's just no time to build a relationship. Yeah. So I'm very excited to get to know Brandon a little more. We did a little stalking, and I'm excited to ask him a bunch of questions about his life. But just an absolute incredible person. Mm-hmm. Every time I've ever seen him, even though it was in passing very briefly, it was always a bright energy. You could see he's a good person. Yeah. And so I've been very pumped just to have him on. So we're gonna hop into Brandon here in a second. But before we do, the famous intro.
Tell me about it, baby.
Welcome everyone to the Freddie and Alyssa show. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff. We'd really appreciate it. We've been putting up videos for a couple years now. You can look around the channel. We got vlogs. We have almost 100 interviews at this point that are up on our YouTube channel, so you can find some entertainment, some inspiration, and have a lot of fun doing that. We are also bookable on Cameo. So if you'd like a shout out video for myself or Alyssa or both of us, please let us know. Or if you want a shout out for a friend, we love doing the videos. You can find us and book us on cameo.com/FMSmith319. And we'll have that in the description as well.
Crushing it, baby.
I just love it. I got the rhythm. I'm ready to rock. I'm ready to roll.
I'm going to have to try crack at that next time, the intro, because you got it so good.
I mean, I've really set the bar high.
I just really want to outdo you on that one.
I almost feel subconsciously people are going to be sleeping in bed and like 3 o'clock roll over and be like, "Sorry, let's show like, comment, subscribe, like, comment, all that fun YouTube stuff." Their partner is just like, "What are you doing? Nothing." Cameo. Cameo.
Oh boy. Anywho, guys, we have a really exciting show.
Do you want to cue up Brandon?
Let's cue him up.
Let's cue him up. I don't know if this could go any better.
We're starting on a really good pace here.
We like stalk and do a deep dive on every guest that we have on. So you were like on my YouTube, Google, Facebook, Twitter. Like I did a deep dive on you. So I feel like I really know you.
Yeah.
And I saw you were on 24 and I have it written down. I was like, oh my God,
I
it was one of my favorite shows.
We love that.
Back in the day.
Yeah. It was mine too at the time. And so getting to be able to be on it was like, you know, I'm 5'11" and Jewish, so my NBA career was never going to happen. But it's like being a Laker fan and being drafted to the Lakers. I walked into CTU the first day and it was just like, holy crap.
That's so cool. What kind of character did you play?
That
was a long time ago.
And I played a CTU guy. And it was one of those things I went in for like 3 lines and I ended up getting 4 episodes out of it. And I probably would have gotten more if I wasn't so damn nervous. If I hadn't been so damn nervous, because I was in my early 20s. I was still trying to figure out this whole acting for the camera thing, like classically trained theater guy. And so walking into these situations where, and I went to USC School of Theater, which, you know, is a great school, but back then they weren't teaching very much about hitting a mark or, you know, just acting for the camera. And so it was kind of like on the fly learning. And so I would get very nervous in situations, especially when you've got like dudes like William Devane kind of just,
oh my God, yeah,
doing this to you all day. And so, but it was a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, dude. Yeah, it was like one of those, it was like a unique time in the industry because that was when I first started. So I was fatuous. Like I would watch every show. I'm like, I'm going to book. Like I used to be like, because you're kind of green in the sense. Because you started in what year with acting?
What, professionally?
Yeah.
02.
Okay. So I started like auditioning 06. I think I booked my first role in like 07. But like back in the day, I remember watching everything on TV because I wanted to know every show, every detail. So when I went in, I would know. And it's funny as you get older. I don't know if you still do that now, but I find myself just being like,
no,
I just gotta go.
No.
He's learning.
I read the side.
Daughter.
Look, and this is, you know, You get so much advice, and it's like parenting. All right, you guys aren't parents, right?
No, not
But
yet.
it's like parents. That's hopeful. I like that. It's not. It's not dissimilar from parenting because everyone spews unsolicited advice at you, right? Always. And you got this person saying this person saying that, this person saying watch every single show so you understand the tone, which is totally valid. But what those people don't tell you is don't mimic the show, right? And as a young green actor, I know I did this. I would go in there trying to mimic the tone, as opposed to say, perfect example. This job got me my SAG card 2 months after I graduated college. The Gilmore Girls. I did, I don't know, a handful of episodes on the Gilmore Girls. And it was one of those things where, I mean, that was also one of those roles where I went in for an episode and ended up doing a handful. I had never seen the show. I didn't know what it was about. I certainly didn't know about Amy Sherman-Palladino's like famous pace, right? I mean, she's known for that now. And so I walked in there and I just did my thing. And they're like, great. So the tone of the show is this. So now try it this way. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So then I tried it that way, as opposed to first time I went in for 24, and I went in for it a handful of times before I booked it for different roles. When I went in for 24, it was, okay, yeah, all right, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, hello, CG, yeah, okay. And you're like trying to mimic this intensity that they get on the show itself with the music, with the cuts, as opposed to just like sitting down and having a conversation with the sides. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And so that's one thing that I think it's a trap that I fell into, which was just like, okay, I'm gonna watch these shows and now I'm gonna mimic them. Well, no, fuck that. And I feel like now, I don't know, do you still do it now?
I don't know. I
Yeah.
actually, well, funny enough, I did it for a little while, but then the past
Yeah.
like 4 years, I haven't even auditioned much. So, but yeah, I just, at the end of the day, I got told so many times that, we went with somebody else, or you're too tall, too short. I was like, at the end of the day, I just got to go in and be myself. If I'm the right character, I'm the right character.
Yeah.
That's plain and simple.
And if they see that you can make good choices, strong choices that are grounded and honest, and that you can take direction, and you're not a fucking psychopath, they're going to hire you.
Mm-hmm.
But, if you show up having done your homework, it 99% of the time has nothing to do with you. You walk in prepared, doesn't have anything to do with you. And that's, I think, some of the best advice to give young actors and actresses is, do your homework, show up ready to play. You know your script backwards, forwards, sideways. If you do that and you can play in the room and be loose, it's out of your hands. And that is the most liberating thing ever, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And so you've got a pretty lengthy resume. You've been working a long time. Do you have any specific projects that you would say were your favorite? Like, does anything stand out that was kind of your most exciting time?
Yeah, playing Hemingway on Timeless has been the most memorable experience of my career, hands down.
Really?
Oh yeah, that was a dream. That was a dream.
What was the? I've never seen that.
Yeah.
What was that? What was that?
You guys should really watch it. I'm not just saying that because I was on it. It's a travesty that show lasted only 2 seasons. So Timeless was a show. It was on, from around 2015 to 2017, maybe 2 seasons, and it was about time travelers. So there was this villain that was jumping from time period to time period, trying to alter history to do something for his family. I don't exactly remember what it was. And I could be totally wrong by that, but he was trying to alter history. And so the time team would travel back with him and try to track him from decade to decade or century to century. And it was always through like these really, really historical times. Like my episode was Paris in the 1920s. And they would do, there was an episode I know with Houdini, and they would follow these huge, iconic historical characters. And so every week would be a new group of historical characters. And my week was Hemingway, it was Paris in 1920. So it was Hemingway, Josephine Baker, Charles Lindbergh. It was just awesome. You guys should check out the show.
Cool.
But It was fun. It was one of the first roles that I ever got to infuse my comedy into. And like, for some reason, I don't know if it's my face or what, but I'm taken very seriously like, in the roles that I play. And, you know, I think we can talk about this now, but certainly with the character of Jake, like the guy's anything but serious on the outside. Like inside, I think he's got his own stuff going on. But you know, the Hemingway part was the first time that I was really able to just play with comedy, and it was a lot of fun.
Huh.
It's
Yeah.
liberating, man. There's some, and we were yet again during our stalking session. We saw
Yeah.
like your YouTube channel. It was the Fathership, and
Oh,
we were
yeah.
and like your Instagram and just you have the comedy chops, dude, that you have.
There was this video
so
that you
funny.
had with what was it, the dinosaurs from Jurassic Park and the theme song. And we were just dying laughing, and I was like, I love this guy.
I think that was my intro. That was I go, babe. I was like, we're gonna interview Brandon. I worked with him on Days. I go, here's who he is, and that was the first thing I shot.
Yes, let's do it.
Yeah. Nobody expects that from me because I always play these very intense, brooding characters on television, and so it's, you know, it's nice to be able to work that in sometimes.
We'll have to check out Timeless because we're looking. We just started.
You really
Sopranos. We'll check out Timeless.
Do you not watch Sopranos?
No, we're crazy.
No, we
out of
waited all
control.
this. So
but we just started.
Yeah, because we still have all this time in quarantine. We've caught up with everything like recent. But I was like, now we're done. So what can we watch now? We went back to Sopranos. So Timeless, we'll check out.
Where are you on Sopranos?
Episode 3.
Oh my God. Okay.
So early.
You have no idea the ride that you're in for. Oh my God.
And I don't know
Have you guys watched? You don't know anything about it?
No. So it's I'm like there was no spoilers that ever got to me somehow. So I literally am like,
that's fun.
Yeah, just taking it episode at a time.
I can't wait to talk to you guys after.
Oh my God.
And it's so funny you say that because I've been kind of, I had a conversation with somebody the other day about Sopranos. I've kind of been jonesing to rewatch it. It's so good. Have you guys watched
Entourage too? Just not too long ago.
Oh, did you really?
So good. I mean, we rewatched it, but still.
Really, I feel like I'd have to. Speaking of time travel back to my 20s to
enjoy it.
I don't know. I feel like that the 20s Brandon loved that show. I just turned 40. I don't know that I'd be like, haha, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I don't know.
You're not going to be on the PCH and jump into a convertible with a random stranger and go to a house party.
Yeah, and start doing lines off a hooker's ass. Like, you know, I got a 6-year-old. I can't do that. Yeah. Have you guys watched Battlestar Galactica?
No, I've heard a lot of excellent things about that show, though.
It is one of the best.
Really?
Especially now in the COVID times, right? Where this question of humanity is being raised of like, at what expense do we keep, do we save human lives, right? And like the debate that's going to be talked about in history books, I think, for decades and centuries will be about this time about COVID is humanity. And at what expense did they save or sacrifice human lives, right? You keep the economy, you keep the country closed down, you save millions of lives. You open it up and people die, but the country thrives. What's the work, you know, and we don't need to get into that. That's not what I'm trying to say, but Battlestar Galactica deals a lot with, you know, humanity and what do you do in times of crisis? And it raises some really gnarly questions. You guys should check it out.
I'm writing these two down because I want to check out some good
I've heard a lot about that show. I just never, like, where did that play? What station, or was it streaming?
I think it was Sci-Fi.
Oh, there you go. Huh.
It's killer. Let me tell you, it's a fun ride.
No, we'll check that out. And speaking of the of just the quarantine and everything going on, how has, other than, we talked a little prior to the recording, other than learning French and helping your daughter with school, how has the whole, did you start off with like confusion and then a little afraid and then kind of more calm? I feel like that's our trajectory. What was your like 2 months? Like, how did you feel through the whole thing so far?
You know, what's weird is I've just kind of been riding the wave. And I know that may sound douchey and zenny, but it hasn't been, I haven't had a moment of freak out. it's just kind of been moment to moment, stringing together the moment to moment. I don't know how long this is going to last. How cool that, can I curse on here?
Yeah, I'll beep the F's out.
Okay. But how cool is it that, you know, you hear so many parents saying like, oh God, I got to teach my kids school. It's a death sentence. But if you really think about it, hopefully, never again are we going to get the opportunity to teach our kids school and to be our kids educators. Essentially, that's what we're doing. The teachers are giving us the lesson plans, and they're saying, here you go, take care of it, have fun. When else are we going to be able to do that? And so I kind of see it as a blessing. And so that's kind of been my day to day. I haven't really had time to stop because, you know, I'm a single dad. I haven't had time to stop and think like, this is crazy, I don't know what to do. It's been more of kind of on the job training and a lot of problem solving. Like I noticed a couple of weeks ago, my kid was getting a little cabin fever. And even though we'd go outside and like play baseball for a bit or dig in the garden or run through the sprinklers, it wasn't enough. So we started going on hikes. And now we hike like 4 days a week at least. And she loves it. And so it's, you know, it's been a lot of like kind of guess and check and, you know, process of elimination and just kind of, like I said, bringing together the moment to moment. It hasn't been, I haven't had these big cathartic moments. So sorry, I don't have a better answer for you.
No, I love that. No, because everyone has a different kind of journey with it.
Yeah.
And again, we don't have kids, so I'm sorry if this is a stupid question, but your daughter's 6. How have you explained what's going on to her in like does she understand? I mean, to at least some extent, or
to a degree, I think she does. You know, I've told her, look, there's this virus called the coronavirus, and it makes people very, very sick. You know, we have a cousin who had it, and luckily he survived. And so, you know, she was kind of able to put it kind of made it more real for her as opposed to this, you know, even for a lot of grown-up, like a lot of adults, it's like this COVID-19 is this thing that we've heard about, but we don't know anybody that it's affected. So it's hard to kind of put a face to the name, as it were, right? So, you know, I've explained that the reason we can't go places, the reason we can't go to the park, the reason we can't go get ice cream, all those places are shut down because like you transmit a cold or a flu from person to person, you can transmit this thing and we don't know much about it. And so, and it's making people very, very sick, especially older people. So like, you know, we haven't seen, my dad passed 2.5 years ago, but I still have my mom who lives in Kansas City, who we see every few months. We haven't seen her in, I don't think since January. Yeah, since the Super Bowl, February. My stepmom has Alzheimer's. And so she lives in a retirement community. We haven't been allowed to see her since February. And so, yeah. And so, you know, it's explaining those little things to her that kind of help thread the tapestry, if you will.
Well, that's good though. So she's in a good spot and you're having fun and getting out and doing things. And
yeah, we're making the best of it for sure.
And how do you feel with the schooling? Do you think that she's maybe, what's the comparison of learning from being in school to being at home? Do you find it to be equal, less, more, just different in general?
Well, it's, you know, it's got to be a little fascinating to the kids because we as parents are an authority figure at home, right? Teachers are the authority figures at school. What happens when the teachers are on the periphery and at home you have your parent who is your authority figure in the sense of the home and also in the sense of the school? And I don't think she's 6, so she's not able to really articulate that, but I'm sure that's gone through her head. Like, you know, she'll say to me, I'll say, okay, now it's time to memorize a couple lines of your new poem, because they have a poem that they work with every week, a new one. And she'll say, oh, I don't want to do that. And this kid is usually game for anything. She's the easiest kid, and she's a good kid, and she wants to be good at what she does. So those moments are few and far between when she's like, oh, I don't want to do this. But I have to kind of crack down on her a little bit and say, look, would you say that to Miss Fanny at school? No. Well, why would you say that to me? And she's like, Oh, you're right. Okay. All right. Let's do this. Let's do the fucking poem, Dad. You know,
Oh my gosh.
if
So
she could, that's what she's thinking. Yeah.
So how many hours a day do you do school with her?
We're in school from 9:30 until about 3:30 to 4:30 every day.
Wow.
Oh, it's no joke. And this is kindergarten. Yeah.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we have a phone call at 9:30, and then we have, which is a 30-minute phone call, and then we have time to work from 10 until about noon, 11:55. 11:55. That's her French class. Then English class is at 11:55. And that lasts about 20-30 minutes, and then we have lunch, and then we work from the end of lunch until we're done with her work. And she has an additional French class in the afternoon every day.
So then every week, I guess I'd say, the teacher will email you guys over the syllabus for the week and you follow it?
Yeah, but it's every day.
Every
day. They break it down by day. Yeah. And they, yeah. It's, I mean, it's literally, I just happen to have it right here because I'm at the table, but you know, it looks like this, and it's just like broken down. Like, first you're going to do your story, then you're going to do your phonics, and it's all French. Then you're going to memorize your poem. Then you're going to go do these exercises. And so we just go down the list. And sometimes, you know, we'll run up against a roadblock with a certain assignment. And so we'll jump to another one or jump to English and then jump back. What I've discovered through this whole thing is my daughter is really good at math. And I had no idea. Like, once she has a hard time getting the concepts, I think because she's 6, but once she gets the concepts, she just destroys these math tests. So it's fun to, you know, be part of the discovery process as to what they're really good at. Yeah.
That's good, man. Yeah, it's this whole thing's just super interesting, and everyone, you know, being parent, not being a parent, depending on what you do for a living, depending on where you live, there's just so many aspects. It's affecting people in so many different ways. It's just insane.
Oh yeah, yeah, so, it's nuts. How are you guys doing?
We, I mean, honestly, like, we're
not
making the
best
of it. Yeah, not
yeah.
like, I mean, we miss being out, seeing friends, and like going to the local restaurant or bar or something for entertainment. But most of the stuff we do is from home. We're doing our podcast. We're catching up on TV. We just started working out finally after a 2-month pigging out session.
Same. I mean, I started hiking and yoga a couple weeks ago, but up until then, I wasn't doing anything. And I am a, you know, go to the gym 4 to 6 days a week person. But it's kind of been nice to just hit the reset button on everything, you know?
That's how we feel. It kind of forced us to rethink everything that's going on, of like, what's our top priorities? What are we slacking on? What do we need to double down on? And so it's kind of brought everything together. And though and I always like feel funny saying this because I know people are really going through challenging times and there's a lot of really bad things going on, but we kind of got blessed and lucky in the sense that for us, we got this time to reset where everything's on pause. And so we're using it, trying to make it into a positive for us and just make the best of it. So
that's great.
What's been your time back on days? I know it's kind of a loaded question, but because I know that you spent so many years on GH, what's kind of been, how was that transition for you coming over? Because I know you and I, obviously the Days fans know this, we really never worked together, but we've seen each other in passing briefly. We had maybe 2 scenes together in total, and one was I just opened the door, you're kissing Camila, and I just go, and then the scene's over. We didn't even say anything.
And we're trapped in a bunker and we're making out.
Yeah.
Realistic.
I was like, hey man, great working with you. That was great. See the chemistry we had.
But it's also nice to sit down here and talk to you more, because I feel like every time we see each other at work, it's in passing. It's like, hey man, how are you? Good weekend? Yeah. All right, have a good shoot. And it's just, you know.
It's really hard. We talked to a few of the co-stars on our podcast, and we got to know them and built a deeper connection through a 30-minute, 40-minute conversation than I ever did, unless it was like Chandler or Wally or someone I worked with constantly, because in the dressing room, you of course get to know them. But someone like yourself and many others that I just see in passing, where I'm like, Brandon's awesome, but I have no time to like, you know, like,
deep meaningful combo.
So So I was really happy that that we got to chat with you on here, and that we get to know each other a little more, because now we can put more to than just like, yeah, he was always really nice at days, and he's really funny,
right. Yeah,
growing out.
It was good to see him passing every day. Yeah. But you were asking a question, and I cut you off to say that. I can't remember.
Just the transition of GH to days, and then also coming back to days. Just like, do you feel a difference between the soap operas, and then what has been your experience just on days in general?
Well, I wouldn't say that there's been a difference between the two. What I will say is that the time on days it's been incredible. I mean, you've been there. How long were you there?
I was there about 9 years.
9 years. So, it's a good place. It's a tight-knit place. It's a place you go to where you really feel, and not all sets are like this, certainly. And I'm sure you guys know that, but, at days you feel like, I kind of equate this work to like a good jazz jam session,
Yeah.
Or making a good soup in a kitchen, where there are different cooks who have different jobs, or different people who have different jobs, who are all contributing to making the same thing. And they just want to make the best compota soup possible, right? Or they just want to play the best, jazz piece possible, or just have the best jam session. And it's not, there's very little ego. It's all just like, let's do this, and let's make it as good as we possibly can. And that's one thing I'll say about days. From the moment I showed up, that's what it felt like.
No, I agree. It's for all the fans of days out there who are listening too, is it's really incredible to watch behind the scenes because of how many working parts. Because how many people are on set? I mean, really, like we have probably 10, 15 actors a day, 60 scenes, directors, writers, camera, wardrobe, makeup, hair. I mean, there's just so many people, like you said, all putting.
There are a couple hundred people in the building. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty crazy.
It is, man. Yeah, no, it's been a good experience, and now it's just kind of waiting around to see what we're gonna do. I know GH is because my mom's a huge fan of General Hospital. She was always like, I wish you were on GH. You have to go on GH. I'm like,
oh really?
Then she started obviously watching Days and became a fan.
Yeah.
She's like, oh, you're going for a soap audition? She goes, is it GH? Is it GH? So she's been a huge fan of GH, but she was telling me that they're done airing like soon, and with at least Days, we at least have episodes.
We can ride this out till October.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we'll see when we're all, when the whole show's going back. I don't. Yeah. This whole thing's been kind of crazy. I know we touched on it just a brief little bit here, but the fathership that you do with your buddy, is that because I was looking at your YouTube, is that something that you're going to continue doing on the YouTube portion? I was like looking at your videos. I'm like, this thing's dope.
Yeah, it is. It's very hard to do now, obviously, for obvious reasons with the whole social distancing thing, blah, blah, blah. But yes, but the fathership has started to take on another life. We're developing it into a television show.
I was going to ask you that next, dude. I'm like, this has to be a show. Oh my God.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's in its development stages, and we're very excited with what's happening.
That's good. That's what I feel we have to do these days. There's so much opportunity to create our own content, create buzz around it. And that's why we're focusing on it too. We're like, we might as well make our own stuff because people are getting stuff bought every day. And it's like, why not us, So that's great, brother.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you for chit-chatting with us. And
my pleasure. Thank you for having me
so much. And I think everyone probably knows where to find you, but just in case, where do they find you on social?
On Instagram at Brandon J. Barash, I think, and Twitter at Brandon Barash. Also on Instagram, you can find me at The Fathership.
Love it. Yeah, everyone, go check out The Fathership. It's super awesome. IG and YouTube.
Oh, thank you.
And we'll be watching, man. I hope you can get that sold, and we'll be able to see it on the big screen.
Do you have any last words in French for us?
Oh my God. Oh, I can't be on the spot. Let's see. The last children's book we were reading, this little girl was carrying around a sack of rice, and all these animals wanted her rice, and so they would say petit celi, donnez-moi du riz, which is give me your rice. That's the first thing that came to my mind.
I love it. Perfect.
Give me your rice. I love it.
Give me your rice and go watch Battlestar Galactica.
Yes.
Will do, man. Thank you so much again for your time. Enjoy the rest of your week.
Yeah, it's great to talk with you guys.
And then we'll connect soon.
Absolutely.
All right, brother. Take care.
Bye.
Okay, you too.